Welcome into the Baseball Insiders. I am Adam Weinrib, joined, as always, by fan-sided MLB insider Robert Murray. Back from last week's absence, we thank Sam Phelan for joining me on the show. And now that Robert's here, we can get his thoughts on the races that are tightening even a little bit further from when Sam and I talked last time. Last week, we were all in on the Mets' young rotation. This week, the Mets lost 3 games started by Jonah Tong, Nolan McLean, and Brandon Sproden are now still hanging on for dear life. So which tightening race is more exciting, AL or NL wild card? What about Robert's trust tree? Anybody falling out of it as we approach the postseason field? Are the Dodgers going to hold on to the NL West amid the crazy Yoshinobu Yamamoto no-hitter game that kind of defined the second half of the season for them in many ways? Plus some shuffling in the Nationals GM search and anything from Robert's notebook and your questions, of course. So please weigh in the comments. Let's get into it. Robert Murray, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's good to be back. It's felt like it's been a hot minute since I've been here, but I was on vacation last week. Well, not really vacation, but I was in Scottsdale. My mom and dad came to visit me. We spent some good time together, so that was very exciting. Life is good overall. I feel refreshed. Got a lot of stuff going on. The Eagles won week 1. I'm sorry about your Giants, Adam.
Well, they looked what they do. They look great, right, in preseason.
Yeah, well, whoops. But anyways, a lot of stuff happening in baseball. Wild card race, teams heating up, teams also falling, and kind of raising some questions here. So I'm anxious to break it all down. Good to be back, as I said before. Adam Weinrib, how are we doing? Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day. It does. It has felt like a long time. I was on vacation for a couple weeks, staycation. There's a little break. We are getting closer to the finish line of the regular season, and that means more eyes on the baseball, more eyes on the Baseball Insiders, hopefully more scoops and juicy rumors for you as we head into the offseason. But first, we got to crown a champion. So thank you for joining us for the stretch run. Plenty of exciting things coming up over the next couple weeks. And while the field is still undecided, we want to get in some speculation about it. Make sure to join us every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And then by 2 o'clock, I mean, of course, 3 o'clock Eastern time. What's 2 o'clock? That's an hour ago. That's a different time. 3 o'clock Eastern is when the show is. You can also catch us on the Prospect Show, noon Eastern. We're going to be messing with the cadence there a little bit as the minor league season wraps up. But Eric Cole and I will be back next week, Tuesday, to do an awards show to wrap up the season. So pretty fun. Couple of prospects already making an impact on the postseason races. You should also subscribe if you have not to both the audio feed and the YouTube channel. Hit the join button below if you're subscribed and you want to become a member of the Baseball Insiders. You can join at either the Rumor Mill tier or the All-Star tier and come hang out with us in the Discord and bother Robert Murray and I between shows. Our weekly Q&As with Robert in the Rumor Mill tier at 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, every Thursday. So also stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the Moonshot if you have not, our weekly baseball email newsletter, where the fan-sided MLB team, including Robert, myself, and Eric Cole, and the rest of the writers, will hit you with their opinions and thoughts on the topics of the week. In the roundup, you can also read all of that and more on fansided.com/baseball-insiders. Right, let's roll on into it. When I was prepping this, I was thinking about the AL wildcard race and that cluster at the bottom as the one that was really tightening. But as it turns out, the NL race, the Mets have opened the door as well. The San Francisco Giants and, to an extent, the Cincinnati Reds creeping back in. So I'd like to talk about both races, but in the American League specifically, you've got the Yankees and Red Sox at the top of the wildcard mix, battling it out for home field at this point. The Royals and Rays have fallen a little bit back of the Guardians and Rangers, just 2 games in the loss column. But you've got the Guards and Rangers right behind the Mariners for that final wild card spot. And the Yankees and Red Sox both within range. There's going to be some seeding changes there. Do you smell any shakeups in the AL field? Or do you think we're going into the postseason with either the Yankees hosting the Red Sox or the other way around, and then the Mariners going to Houston?
This is a very intriguing overall race here. I mean, you have the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Mariners, with the Guardians and the Mariners really or the Guardians and the Rangers, following closely nearby. And there's some teams that are pretty vulnerable here. Like I've said it before about the Yankees. Like I still don't know exactly how far they can make it into the postseason because to me, they're a flawed team. I don't think you would disagree with that by any means of the imagination here.
Nope.
You have the Red Sox, who obviously they traded Rafael Devers, but they've actually, I believe, statistically have been better since moving Devers, which I laughed at Greg Breslow when he said that, but that has actually aged pretty well. And they have just a core of young talent there who I believe in this year, just long term as well. Mariners, I'm a little, I don't know what to make of them quite yet. They scare me a little bit, and to me, they're the most vulnerable team here. And one team that I did discount was the Texas Rangers. I mean, considering all their pitching injuries, and especially losing a guy like Eovaldi to a shoulder injury. And as soon as that ended up happening, and they've dealt with some other injuries since, I kind of wrote them off in my head. But yet here they are. They've played very well. They're playing the Brewers very tough. And talking to people around the Brewers, they've been extremely complimentary of this Texas Rangers team. And they really like what they've seen from them. I believe they're probably pretty happy they don't have to face them more often, because Bruce Bochy is pressing all the right buttons at this point. And what they're, I believe, 7-3 in their last 10, if that's correct. And one player that's really caught Milwaukee's eyes is Michael Hellman. And it's been both offensively and defensively. And defensively, I believe he robbed a home run yesterday against Milwaukee. It was great at the plate for them as well. And Pat Murphy even joked, he was like, he's been such a promising, like such a really good player for them, especially against the Brewers, that they might have to intentionally walk him 4 times. So the Rangers, despite all these injuries, they have continued to make it happen, continue to progress forward. So we'll see. But to me, they're a team that I'm definitely watching here. The same can be said for the Guardians as well. And obviously they traded Bieber at the deadline, and it could have been even bigger had Emmanuel Clase not gotten or put on the, paid leave?
Administrative leave still. We just keep extending that.
Yeah, and I mean, I believe it would have been more extensive had he not been suspended. I would not have been surprised at all if he got traded, and I still think San Diego was very much watching that one there. But he stayed. I mean, obviously he's not playing, but the Guardians are in contention, and anyone who's watched the show knows how much of a Stephen Vogt fan I am, and he's got them in good position there. So we'll see. But I'm curious what your takes are so far, Adam.
I think it's noteworthy where we're speaking of the Royals. To say their rotation's been decimated is unfair to the word decimated. Like they're out of healthy starters, and they're hoping that Cole Reagans can work his way back. They've now dropping the first 2 against Cleveland in this series is massively impactful to their chances. You can't afford even a momentary slip up when you're in a 4-team cluster like this. So I'm not writing anybody off. We've still got some time on the clock, and the Mariners are close. Like they're gettable, but the more the Royals struggle to put a pitching staff on the field, the worse their chances get with so many hungry teams in the same mix. Same with the Rays, who they will not die. I guarantee you they will not die until the final second. But I do think they're a step behind the Rangers and Guardians. Now, I don't know what demon is in charge of these schedules at Major League Baseball, but the Guardians close their season hosting the Texas Rangers 4-3. The final weekend of the year. So the Yankees, Red Sox, and Mariners can make that irrelevant. But the longer it goes with both of those teams just a handful of games behind the postseason field, the more interesting that final series becomes. Texas also goes to Citi Field this weekend and hosts or plays the Astros on the road next week. So another showdown between those rivals after the Silver Boot Series was in Texas last weekend, which, I mean, gun to my head again, I do think I am going to say that the current AL playoff field stands, but that the Red Sox and Yankees swap places and the Yankees have to go to Fenway Park. The Yankees are, flawed. There were times this year when I would say that flawed doesn't begin to cover it. At this point, I think they're closer to reaching whatever their current ceiling is, but there are still holes. They have held their own, winning series against the Jays and won on the road in Houston, the weekend and last week. But they showed their warts yesterday. Anthony Volpe in a tie game can't get a bunt down. They can't score. Detroit ends up recording 0 outs and putting 8 runs on the board, I think, before even 1 out was recorded. It ended up being 9, and it was the difference in a 12-2 game. 2-2 entering the 7th, 12-2 at the end of the 9th. So if you're looking at one game to try to tell you, hey, the Yankees figured it out or not, there's one for you. They've looked much better against top-level competition for the last week. They've been one of the hottest teams in baseball against a softer schedule since the last Red Sox series. But going to Fenway this weekend against Lucas Giolito, Brian Bayo, who's owned them forever and is hot right now, and Garrett Crochet, it's hard to say the Yankees are going to take 2 out of 3 there. I think they'd be hard pressed to even win 1. So once that series is over, I think you'll see the Red Sox ahead of the Yankees in the standings. And from that point, I think the Yankees and Red Sox will both take care of business. But we'll see. The bottom is still vulnerable. And if you are a Rangers believer, then that means you think there might be a shakeup in the NL playoff field. Because if you think the Rangers are going to stay hot, they are going to visit the Mets this weekend. They're going to face some of the Mets' star young pitching. There was, I believe, the pitching probables have Jacob deGrom lined up for the Friday night opener.
Awesome.
I am considering attending for sure. I could be tempted. It's not very far. It's in New York. And the San Francisco Giants, I wrote off the Reds about a week ago. They're only 3 back again. The Giants are even closer. They're just 2 back. So a week ago, we were praising the young Mets starters, talking about what a different team they were without Frankie Montas and with all these kids in the rotation. Now they are showing their warts again. They are, I believe, the New York Mets are 31-45 since earlier in the summer, since a line of demarcation there. So do you think the Mets hold on, or do they get caught?
I do think they hold on. It might sound backwards considering what I ended up saying in the American League, but I think the National League stays as is. You have the Cubs, you have the Padres, and you end up having the Mets. And in my eyes, they end up staying as is. I mean, the Cubs have a pretty good grasp on that first wild card spot there. They're 6 games ahead. And then you got the Padres, and then you got the Mets there. And the Mets, obviously, like, their pitching has been decimated by injuries. Like, we've seen that. The Frankie Montas thing, now they have Kodai Senga. I give him credit for agreeing to end up doing that, because there were some questions about whether or not he would end up doing so. But their young pitching has really stepped up, and the Mets are playoff tested. They obviously went on that run last year. Their leadership is a big reason why I have that belief, and that's the same can be said for the Texas Rangers. It comes down to their leadership, and obviously Bochy is much more seasoned, is much more like, he's a more veteran manager than a guy like Mendoza is. But they've been there before. They have the leaders in place, and that is exactly why you go out and get Juan Soto for moments like this, for situations like this. So I can't see the Mets with Soto, with Pete Alonso, with all these guys. I mean, I'm forgetting Lindor. I don't even mention him there, but you have him there as well. So I think they end up holding on. The Giants, to me, are a very interesting team, because it seems like for like the last month or two, I've been getting questions being like, oh, is Bob Melvin going to return next year? Are they going to fire Bob Melvin? I mean, they just picked up his option earlier in the year for the 2026 season, and I've been adamant that I don't think they would do so. But they continue to linger around. Willie Adames has put up some really strong power numbers there. They've had players step up. They're a dangerous team for sure, but I don't know if they have enough juice to end up getting past the Mets. To me, the Giants are a team that could end up being in the market for another big name in the offseason. And we've seen them go after Judge and some of these other players in previous off seasons. Part of me wonders if they could end up like going after a guy like Kyle Tucker. We'll see. I think that's a fit that makes a lot of sense for the Giants. I even wonder if a guy like Kyle Schwarber could be a fit there, because he would be their best power hitter, best left-handed power hitter since Barry Bonds. And if you end up adding either one of those guys, then to me, they have a much more real shot of not only making it to the postseason, but advancing deep into the postseason. So that's something I'm watching for, although it remains to be seen if ownership ultimately signs off on a signing like that. But they did do it with Rafael Devers. They did do it with Willie Adames. And Farhan Zaidi was not really, I mean, he obviously had approval to do big signings, as evidenced by Carlos Correa and that pursuit there. But Buster Posey's gotten it done not once, but twice. So who am I to rule out a third move like that? So again, just my own thoughts, but something that I've considered here for a little while now. Then the Reds, I mean, shoot, dude, you were on it before the season even started as a possible playoff team. I don't think any of us expected the Brewers to be quite like this, but
no,
Francona's got them going in the right direction. It may not be this year, but they're not far off by any means.
I can't believe that I can't I was early on the Reds and then way out. I've been out on the Reds like 6 times over the last month and a half, because I can't believe that they are still in range, but they definitely merit consideration. And now they're they're at the under the microscope point of the standings where it's like, I don't expect them to find their way into the playoff field, but their fans, they may not be bought in, but they're bought in enough that they could get hurt by a bad call or a brutal home run. Like it's like the Yankees trying to chase down the Blue Jays in the East. Like, did I think they were going to win the East? No. Did it still hurt to watch Isaiah Kinder-Falefa tie the game yesterday and essentially end that pursuit? For sure. If you're 2-3 games back, you can't let yourself buy in, but you believe a little bit. And so I do think Reds fans are in that ready to get hurt again phase. I'm with you. I still think the Mets do ultimately hold on, but I don't think they enter the playoffs with all that much momentum. Which brings us to the field as it currently stands. And I do want to circle back to Kyle Schwarber a little bit later because that was interesting. But the current field, like, we'll count the wild card teams, which, again, not set, but close to it. And we'll count, obviously, the division winners who've seen varying degrees of their momentum disappear in recent weeks. Still believe in the Brewers. Still believe in the Phillies. The Dodgers are making us question their abilities, and it gets tougher and tougher to just say, like, oh, they're the Dodgers, I love LA, they'll figure it out. The more and more strange things they do, and the more, dare I say, summer Yankees like they look as they play these series, both big and small. They go to Baltimore and they have some illness creating moments. So is anybody moving up or down your playoff trust tree as we get closer? Is there a team that you like more now than you did 3 weeks ago? Is there a team that you are really starting to have some creeping doubts about?
Well, I'm going to be basic with my answers here. And sorry, I got dog hair everywhere. Cooper is in his shedding phase. So if you see me grabbing my hat or my face, it's because I got dog hair all over me. So shout out to Cooper.
We all got dog hair, baby.
Yeah, Cooper's sleeping right behind me. So he's being an absolute G. But the team I believe in more is the Philadelphia Phillies. And 3 weeks ago, I had some huge concerns about Philly, especially after the Zach Wheeler injury and him being out for the season. Like, that was as big of a blow, at least on the pitching side, as I think you can be dealt, because Wheeler is one of, if not the best pitchers of this generation. He's been phenomenal, and losing him, that's a brutal blow, and they've been able to kind of overcome that. They've won. Schwarber has stepped up. They've had other players step up. It's going to take a village effort. But one thing I've learned about Philadelphia is they're a team or just a city overall that is built on the underdog. And I know calling an underdog team when you have Bryce Harper and Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, like all these guys, it's a dangerous game to play. But we saw the Eagles do it when Carson Wentz went out and Nick Foles stepped up and won a Super Bowl. A little bit different situation. We're not talking about the quarterback by any means, but I could see Philly going deep into the postseason because there's no real clear favorite in the National League. There's a lot of really good teams for sure, but I could see them absolutely stepping up. And the team that everyone has been chasing, I think is still chasing, is the Los Angeles Dodgers. But oh boy, I'm losing some faith here. And that might be a really kind of a dangerous game to play considering just the overall talent level on that team. But the vibe is really weird, man. And the bullpen was supposed to be a strength entering the season, and it has been anything but that. And a big reason for that optimism was Tanner Scott. And no, he's not a double agent for the Padres. Justin, I see your comment there. That is definitely not the case. But that signing has not worked out at all. And he even got booed the other day. And when that signing happened, I thought that was going to be the piece that put the Dodgers over the top and in the bullpen and was going to be solidifying that spot. We wouldn't even talk about it being an issue. Wow, is that wrong? And it's been a disaster. And there's definitely some holes into that in that foundation that they've laid there. So do I still think that they're a very serious threat to win the World Series? For sure. Like, any team with Ohtani and that level of talent deserves it. But I'm less optimistic about that being the case now than I have in maybe the last couple of years for them, because they've got some serious concerns. But they also did it when they ended up having all those starting pitching concerns. What was it, last year? They were not advancing deep into the postseason by any means, but yet they found a way. But this year is going to be Dave Roberts' biggest challenge yet, in my eyes.
Oh, it's so odd. 2023 we all thought, okay, this is a 100-win Dodgers team. They'll be able to get through the postseason unscathed, but they enter with a shaky rotation that just looks shakier the second, like curtain up on the playoffs. And oh, wait, okay, they've got nothing. Like Lance Lynn is prominently involved. Last year, same starting pitching issue, but they were able to manage around. Dave Roberts, brilliant tactician, got some huge clutch hits along the way. They were on the ropes against San Diego, as we all know, managed to play the explosive offense card in game 4, and then they never looked back. The pitching stepped up. Upstart Mets, they let the Yankees beat themselves, and they did the job as well with some clutch hitting in that series. And all of a sudden, they are the World Series champions, and they are the unkillable team. This year, nothing seems to be working except the rotation. Like it's almost the opposite. I believe in the unit that they're going to be running out in the postseason, and when it arrives, I just can't get bought in on the rest of it. The more I see, it's just that beautiful thing about baseball, that imperceptible reality of I understand what's going on paper here, but yet something doesn't work every day, every other day. The no-hit bids that get broken up late, the roster decimation, losing Will Smith and Dalton Rushing. Like, I'm sorry, if a thing happens to you like that Yoshinobu Yamamoto game, and actually more importantly, the Blake Trinan game and yet another Tanner Scott game, there's enough cosmic nonsense going into that game and enough reminders of what might happen to the bullpen when given a simple task under elevated pressure. Like Blake Trinan didn't think he was getting in that game when it was 3-0, 1 out to go before a no-hitter. All of a sudden he's called upon with the simple task of record 1 out in the next 3 batters, and he can't do it. Tanner Scott can't do it either. There's something to it, I think, just out in the universe when you watch a team with this much talent have this many just like struggles where you throw your hands to the sky and say, what were we supposed to do there? Like, how is it possible a team this talented has so many moments like that? And I think it is fair to doubt them. That said, all it takes is one playoff series with that rotation staying healthy, and I could easily sway right in the opposite direction. So I think our fears are genuine and founded, but writing off the Dodgers, especially with the rotation getting healthier and stronger, would be extremely foolish.
Oh, yeah, you can't write them off. And I remember that Yamamoto game because I fell asleep during it, and I woke up and I just assumed that they had won. And then I saw that they lost, and then I saw in the way that they had lost, that is about as bad as it gets. And that never happens. How many times has that happened in baseball history? I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, I saw some mixed stats on it. It was confusing. I mean, there was a Rich Hill no-hitter that got busted up in the 10th at Pittsburgh, where Josh Harrison walked him off. There's like the Harvey Haddix game that I think went 11. I think he went another no-hit inning and got by Joe Adcock in an old Braves battle. But yeah, not many no-hitters broken up after 8 2/3 and the team has lost the game. I saw a list that I think had four or fewer, and I don't think I would doubt in any of those games there was a 3-0 lead. Highly.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, that's part of the reason why I thought they were going to win. Like even if they lost a no-hitter, like you just assume, and then next thing you know, Scott, like it goes trying, and then Scott, and then what was it, like the second or third pitch goes right up the middle, and they score, and the game's over. I'm just like, I mean, that's just beyond crazy. So vibes are a little bit off in the Dodgers. Bullpen is a huge concern for me, and we all know how important the bullpen is during the postseason. So we'll see. I'm not writing them off, but as you said, the concerns are very, very, very real right now.
Extremely. I wrote an article recap about the no-hitter getting broken up and like not letting us lose the brilliance of the Yamamoto start, and I published it, and then I was like, oh no, the game is still happening. Like that's how secure and done and finished, where I was like, I'll write up a nice flowery column about how brilliant the outing was despite the loss of the no-hitter, and then somehow the bases are loaded and Tanner Scott is entering the game. I got back to it to watch the final bit of Orioles magic. So again, Dodgers fans, no one is quitting you. We believe in you, but there's reason to be nervous. I don't think it's qualifying an opinion to say I'm less confident, even with the rotation the way it is. I'm less confident in this Dodgers team this year than I was last year for sure, but slightly less chaos necessary. Maybe, perhaps. Let's get to a little bit of early off season. The Nationals GM search, I want your take on this because it does seem like the only name we're really hearing is Carter Hawkins of the Cubs. So for Cubs fans watching and wondering, any other names you think the Nationals will have on their radar? Is there a reason we're hearing Carter Hawkins as a finalist or semifinalist so strongly? And how should Cubs fans feel about the potential of losing Hawkins?
I would say, like I can say with confidence that Hawkins is not the only name that they're considering there with the Nationals, and like the other names that have come out here, Amiel Sade, who of the Arizona Diamondbacks, he has interviewed for jobs in the past. He is mega respected. Came from Boston, now with Arizona. I believe he's their assistant GM there. He's phenomenal, super respected. So he's long been deserving of a spot there. Another one is Josh Burns, now of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, he's been a long time, really respected front office guy as well. So the names that we've heard so far with the Nationals are all like very well known, highly thought of names. There's others in the mix as well, from what I've gathered. I mean, I've heard various different things. I know Bob Nightingale reported that finalist. I had someone tell me they didn't believe anything was close, but it probably could be the next few weeks or next couple weeks is kind of my guess, because they'll want to have somebody in the early part of the offseason to help navigate that, because then they have to figure out the managerial spot as well. But DiBartolo, who is their current guy as their interim GM, he is going to be in the mix there as well. So those four names, I believe there will be others as well, are going to end up being among those candidates. So they should, I mean, based on the names that we know now, it'll end up being a quality name. So off to a good start there. And then the managerial hire is going to be super important there as well.
Now, before we sign off, circling back on Schwarber, because I saw a lot of rumors this week. It's no surprise that basically every team, except for the Nationals, oddly enough, that has touched Schwarber in the past, that has had Schwarber on their roster, seems at least intrigued by the idea of bringing him back. They know what a winner he is. They know what he meant to the clubhouse when he was there. That means Philly is obviously interested in retaining him. But that also means the Cubs might dabble, the Red Sox might dabble, and he might be exactly what the Red Sox need to get them over the hump. Although Alex Bregman filling that role pretty nicely in Boston at this moment in time. But thoughts on, you bring up the Giants as a great wild card, and a team like the Reds too, a hometown team for Schwarber. You got to think they're going to be involved. But does this ultimately come down to a team that Schwarber has already played for coming home with the rights to Schwarber next offseason?
I don't know who the finalists are going to be, but I can tell you with confidence there is going to be widespread interest in Kyle Schwarber. And this is part of the reason why I was adamant before the season even started that the Phillies needed to extend Kyle Schwarber. He is a franchise-altering player in my eyes. I mean, look at his stats. He's got 50 bombs, almost 130 RBI. Tremendous leader. And Bryce Harper has even said he can't picture the team without Kyle Schwarber being in the clubhouse there. And that to me says a lot. And it also says a lot that we've seen the Red Sox linked with him and how highly Alex Cora has spoken of him as well. So I would not be surprised if Boston's in the mix. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants are in the mix. A return to the Midwest in some way could make a lot of sense for him because he's got ties there. And the Reds you mentioned could be a fit there. There's going to be a lot of interest in Schwarber, probably looking at 3 to 4 years. I don't know how much dough he's going to get. I believe his current contract pays him $20 million a year. It'll be more than that. I mean, he's deserved that. And for everything that he brings, which is home runs, leadership, the ability to get on base, I mean, he's an extremely valuable player, and he can put any franchise over the top if they're close. So Philly should have been all over it, and because they weren't, they run the risk now of losing someone that they genuinely love and care about and respect, and obviously a key part of the lineup. But we know with John Middleton, if he loves a player, he'll go out and keep him and pay what it takes. And Dave Dombrowski's always been the same way, but it is going to take a lot of dough for them or any team to sign Schwarber this offseason.
A lot of dough, but a very valuable commodity. Check back with the Baseball Insiders as the offseason gets underway for Schwarber rumors, for Kyle Tucker discussions, for all that good stuff. But for now, we got a pennant to decide and a World Series victory to chase. So we'll see you back here next Wednesday, 3 o'clock Eastern time, talking about the latest in the races as they develop. Will they be more settled next week? Will another surprise contender emerge? Are we going to see the Giants actually do the thing? Anybody going to get over the hump, or are you just going to stay there? We'll know next hump day a little bit more with just about, at this point, 2.5 weeks remaining in the regular season. It's just crazy. Everyone's at the 16 or 17 game mark. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. It's what's good about this sport. Make sure to join us again next week, 3 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday. Robert's Q&A in the Discord tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern as well on Thursdays. Hit the join button below the video to find us there. Subscribe to the Moonshot and read all that and more on the Insiders feed on fansided.com/baseball-insiders. Robert, good to be back. It felt like we were away for a while, and now it feels like we are in it. Seatbelts on for the wildest part of the regular season.
Damn straight, baby. I cannot wait. I am jacked as all can be. Off-season stuff, I can tell you, my phone's definitely been heating up. Even while I was on vacation, there were some mornings I'd be here drinking coffee with my folks and my phone would ring and I'd be on the phone. So they can verify that, but it's my favorite time of the year. Cannot wait, but I'll be back here with you next week, Adam. I appreciate you. Everyone in the comments, I appreciate you. She dipped early, I believe, but Joanne, our lovely producer, I appreciate you. Adam appreciates you. Welcome back.
Sure do.
We love you, and we'll see you all back here next week.
Sure will. Shout out to Joanne. Shout out to everyone who joined us. We will see you next week. Take care, and let's watch some damn good baseball. Until next time, I'm on Weinrib for Robert Murray. Catch you next time on the Baseball Insiders.
Thank you, everybody.